Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast Report, where I tell you on my upcoming events, what's going to be on the next episode of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, and for breaking music news. Now, this past week, we have lost two singing legends and one radio DJ personality from the NYC. Now, we've lost two singers. We'll start it off first. So we'll start off with Freddie Boom Boom Cannon. And Freddie was born as Frederick Anthony Piccarello Jr. on December 4th, 1936, in Revere, Massachusetts, and was later moved and raised in Lynn, Massachusetts. Hey, that's where my late paternal cousin Olga Olson once lived up there when after she had relocated from the NYC and lived in Lynn, Massachusetts for many years. Now, as I was saying, Freddie Boom Boom Cannon lived in Lynn, Massachusetts as a child. Now, Freddie grew up listening to R&B music. Wow, very interesting, including some of his favorites, including Big Joe Turner, Buddy Johnson, and others on the radio. And he learned to play guitar. He attended Lynn Vocational High School. Freddie made his recording debut in 1958, signing and playing the guitar on a single called Cha Cha Do by the Spin Offs. Now, which became a local hit. Now he also played on guitar for the R&B vocal group the G Clefs, which was recorded on the Ka Ding Ding, which was the name of the LP, and which went to number 24 on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts in 1956. At a young age, he joined the National Guard, took a job driving a truck, married, and became a father. Freddie was later influenced by other R&B artists, including Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, and Little Richard, which later had a song called Tallahassee Lassie. And I got a chance to saw that clip on YouTube when he was performing on American Bandstand, hosted by Dick Clark, aired on ABC. Now, that song, Tallahassee Lassie, which went to number 6 on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts and number 13 on Billboard's R&B Singles charts. His follow-up was Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. That song went to number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts and number 14 on Billboard's R&B Singles charts. His debut LP, entitled The Explosive Freddie Cannon, released on the Swan label. The LP went to number 1 on the UK album charts. His next single became an instant smash, entitled Palisades Park, which was released back in April 1962. And the song went to number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts and number 15 on Billboard's R&B Sides Singles charts. Sadly, Freddie Cannon died in hospice care in Oxnard, California on July 17th, 2026 from cancer. He was 89 years old. Another singer that we didn't know, and his name was Jim or James Gilstrap. Now, Gilstrap was born on November 10th, 1946, in Dangerfield, Texas, to parents Jody and Pearl Maine Tolbert Gilstrap. He was one of the backup singers for Stevie Wonder's Wonder Love. And then later, he went solo and signed with Chelsea Records, but didn't have no LP out. And then later, he switched over to Roxbury Records with a song entitled Swing Your Daddy. And that song was written by Kenny Nolan. the same Kenny Nolan, who also written songs for La Belle with the number one hit Lady Marmalade, and he had his own song called I Like Dreamin', which was released back in January 1977. Now, the song Swing Your Daddy went to number 55 on Billboard's Soul Singles charts. But the only thing that we didn't know that he was the one who did the theme song from TV's Good Times, which was aired on CBS. And in case you may not know, Good Times was a spinoff from Maude and via All in the Family and the Jeffersons. Now, as I was watching the credits, I didn't see his name on the screen. The only thing that I saw was the music was by Dave Grusin and the words and lyrics by husband and wife, the late Alan and the late Marilyn Bergman, which were in the closing credits. Now, as I said, I didn't see his name. Gilstrap popped up in there, so his name was left out. So, in addition to singing the theme song, he also did the theme song from the 1990 cartoon series called Tailspin, which was aired on the Disney Channel. And sadly, Jim or James Gilstrap died on July 18th, 2026, at the age of 79. So sadly, we didn't see his name in the credits. So hopefully for season 6, I wish I can have Janice Purnell back for another episode of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, and we can do another episode on movie and TV themes, including some of the names that were left out. So that's something to think about, and hopefully I can have her back for season 6. And this just came in, ladies and gentlemen. I saw this on my Facebook homepage this past weekend. And it's one of the favorite radio DJ personalities that I've met back in the early 90s. And her name was Diana Miss Thang King, and she was born in the Boogie Down Bronx, New York, on June 26, 1961. She's been one of the NYC's airwaves since the early 80s, hosting mornings, afternoons, nights, and weekend shifts at top radio stations, including WMCA 570 AM, WWRL 16 AM, 107.5 WBLS FM, Jammin' 105.1 FM, and 98.7 KISS, WRKS FM in the NYC. Now, she began her radio career while she was a student at Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts, where she worked at WILD Radio. In 1984, she impressed the legendary radio DJ personality, the late Frankie Crocker, who was also a program director at 107.5 WBLS, with a demo tape earning a position at, that's right, 107.5 WBLS, doing sub host and eventually filling in for his radio show in the afternoon evening shift from 4 to 8 p.m. And yes, Diana King's on air style is versatile, spanning hip hop, R&B, talk, and gospel, which had her made her a recognizable voice in New York radio. While she's not on the radio at WBLS in the studio, she also goes live, and by 1983, back in April, when I was still working at CBS, and by when I moved up to Messenger Dispatcher, back in April 1993, I went with a couple of guys. We were listening to 107.5 WBLS, and they had started the annual after work party. And this took place at a club called The City, which was located on West 43rd Street between 6th Avenue and Broadway in the Times Square area. Now, the place that I went to with a couple of my coworkers called City, it used to be an off Broadway theater building, which was called the Henry Miller or the Henry Williams Theater. Now, as I said, I went out with a couple of guys. We went to an after work party and we saw Miss Thing, Diana King, and she was doing the live broadcast of the after work party. And then on the same year, but I went in May of 1993. I got a chance to see her up close and personal when WBLS did a live broadcast of the Black Expo. And this was located on East Houston Street. I think it's somewhere between Broadway and the Bowery in the East Village, Lower East Side section of Manhattan, New York City. And I got a chance to have her autograph and everything. And she gave me some advice on getting into the radio industry. And she always tell me, make sure that you work hard, study hard, do your demo tape, and make sure that you have the best personality voice that you can ever get. Now, I still have the signature. It's in the photo album, but I'm not going to show that now. I'll show it to you when I do another Black Soul Music Experience podcast report anytime soon. But as I said, folks, it was the first and last time I got a chance to see Miss Thing, Diana King, and her last appearance was she was doing a radio show called the Studio 54 Radio Show, but it was on Sirius XM radio. That's cable radio. That's in your cars. And that was the last appearance that she had. And sadly, she died on July 16th, 2026. She was 65 years old. Now, here's an FYI for you all, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that when she was attending Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts, her classmate happens to be, you guessed it, Wendy Williams? That's right. Wendy Williams, the same Wendy Williams when she saw her on the TV talk show later during the end of 2009 going into the early 2010s. She's best known for her signature trademark. How you doing? Yep, that's that Wendy Williams. And yes, she cites Diana King as an influence on her radio career. So, as I said, Miss Thing, Diana King, died on July 16th, 2026. She was 65 years old. Now, the only thing that I can tell you that she has been battling diabetes all of her life. And I was reading her bio when she was at Jammin' 105.1. So, Diana King, she was influenced in radio and made a mark by her longevity and mentorship. So rest in peace to the New York radio DJ personality, Miss Thing, Diana King. And I believe that her funeral is this week in the Bronx at Castle Hill Cemetery this coming Thursday, which will be July the 23rd. So rest in peace to those three legends that passed away this past week. Singer Freddie Boom Boom Cannon, Gilstrap, the unknown singer who sung the theme song from TV's Good Times, aired on CBS, and former New York radio DJ personality Miss Thing, Diana King. Now, I want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that I'll be resuming the podcast interviews this Wednesday, July 27th, excuse me, Wednesday, July 22nd. And I have a very special singer who we all knew back in the 80s, but I'm not going to tell you who's that singer is. I'll tell you about that in August when I do the Black Soul Music Experience podcast fall preview, but that will be on Spotify and it'll be on YouTube. So we'll let you know about that. And I'll be interviewing a singer from Uganda, and that will be taken care of on that Saturday morning. And on the same week, I'll be a guest on my Truman Classmates podcast called Gen X. Gonna give it to you. And the host is Miss Monique, excuse me, Deshanta Monique Thomas. And I'm hoping that I'll get a chance to be on her show. So, as I said, if I had inspired someone to do the podcast and someone else is following me, your heart is overflowing. So that's the report that I have for today. So make sure that you subscribe to Substack. I will be branching out, and that's where I'm going to be doing all the reports, whether it's for upcoming events, including the one that I'll be doing the music for Miss Monica Hamlet, aka Mona Lisa. She'll be in the NYC, and I'll be there on Saturday, September 26th for one day only. And of course, I will be continuing to review the Black Soul Music Experience podcast report from now on Substack. So please, if you haven't checked out the Black Soul Music Experience podcast yet, please check out all of my podcast episodes from seasons 4 and 5. All you need to do is please make your donations and subscribing to Patreon. All you need to do is have your computer, have your email address and your password. And when you get to the Patreon homepage, make sure you type in the name of my podcast, The Black Soul Music Experience Podcast 6, where you can check out all of my audio and video podcast episodes and clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on the Patreon, then make sure you check out this report. It will be available on Substack. So please make your donations to Patreon. And if you have a hard time getting on the Patreon, I will be posting this and it'll be subscribing soon on Substack. So for those of the free members that are coming on, please make sure you subscribe to a free subscription, because when I make it public and next year, um, it's going to be upgraded to paid. So please make your donations and make this podcast happen. So be sure to look for this episode on YouTube, and it will be on Substack. Just look for that little logo on the upper left or right hand corner. And make sure you check out the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for my podcast on these 5 platforms. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And the link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, -studio. And I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And as I said earlier, if you have a hard time getting onto riverside.fm, please become a member. Please make your donations by becoming a member and subscribing to Patreon. And also, folks, if you want to know more about my podcast, please visit my website at the Black Soul Music Experience podcast.com. And to check out this report, please subscribe to Substack. All you need to do is when I send you the email from Substack, please become a member. So for Patreon, it's only $5.50 a month. And for Substack, it's $8 a month. So you'll be helping me to bring you more information from all of the music news and upcoming events, as well as for my podcast, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, where I continue to interview a diversity of singers who are influenced by Black music. And as I continue to bring you Black music stories that needs to be told and needs to be exposed. And if you have trouble by getting onto those platforms, please check out my Black Soul Music Experience podcast on my YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience. And if you have a hard time, just go to the just go to the YouTube homepage. Go to youtube.com or just go to the YouTube search box and type in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Click the magnifying glass and be sure to look for my picture. I'm wearing a tux, and please click the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed my podcast, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this has been the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast Report. Enjoy your day and your evening. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Please be safe. Take care. God bless, and enjoy the rest of your summer.